59th 2nd Nottinghamshire Regiment of Foot. The 59th 2nd Nottinghamshire Regiment of Foot was an infantry regiment of the British Army formed in 1755 in response to the threat of renewed war with France. Under the Childers reforms it amalgamated with the 30th Cambridgeshire Regiment of Foot to form the East Lancashire Regiment in 1881. History. Early history. French Revolutionary Wars. With the outbreak of war with revolutionary France, the 59th formed part of the British force dispatched to Flanders, arriving in 1794. The campaign was a major reverse for the British and their allies, and the regiment was evacuated back to England in 1795. Later in 1795, the 59th Foot sailed to the West Indies, where they were to remain for 7 years. They were stationed in St. Vincent, where they suppressed uprisings by the Maroons. They returned to England in 1802. Napoleonic Wars. In August 1804, while stationed in England, a second battalion of the 59th Foot was raised. The 1st Battalion sailed in the following year for the Cape of Good Hope, while the 2nd Battalion was to remain on garrison duty in England, Ireland, and the Channel Islands until 1808. The Cape of Good Hope, which had been captured by the British in 1795, had been returned to the Dutch under the Treaty of Amiens. On 7 January 1806, the 1st Battalion of the 59th was part of a brigade that landed at the Cape, and within 2 days the Dutch forces had surrendered. Although the regiment suffered only light casualties, 2 dead and 6 wounded, this was to be the 59th's first battle honor. The 2nd Battalion, meanwhile, sailed for Spain in 1808. On 16 January 1809 it took part in the Battle of Corunna, a British tactical victory which allowed for the evacuation of their forces from the Iberian Peninsula. From England, the battalion was dispatched to the Netherlands in July 1809, taking part in the fruitless Walcheren campaign. The unit was to remain in England and Ireland until 1812. From the Cape, the 1st Battalion sailed to India. In November 1810, the battalion took part in the invasion of Mauritius. In the following year, they invaded Java in the Dutch East Indies. They remained in Java until 1815, when they returned to India. In 1812, the 2nd Battalion returned to Spain. They took part in the Battle of Vitoria June 1813, the Siege of San Sebastian July-August 1813, the Battle of the Bidasoa October 1813, the Battle of Nivelles November 1813, and the Battle of the Nive December 1813. From France, the 2/59th had sailed to Ireland. When Napoleon returned to France, triggering the 100 Days, the battalion was part of the British force dispatched to Belgium. While they were present in the Waterloo area, they did not take part in the hostilities. Having formed part of the Army of Occupation in France, the 2nd Battalion returned to England in 1816, where they were disbanded. The Victorian Era. On the disbandment of the 2nd Battalion, the 1st was redesignated simply as the 59th 2nd Nottinghamshire Regiment of Foot. The unit moved from India to Ceylon in 1817, returning to India in the following year, where it fought in the Third Anglo-Maratha War. In 1825–1826, they took part in the siege and capture of the Jat fortress of Barrackpore, awarded as the Honour Burkpore. The regiment returned to England in 1829. For the next 20 years, the 59th was engaged in garrison duties in England, Ireland, Malta, and the West Indies. In 1849, they sailed to China to become part of a small force enforcing the terms imposed on China following the First Opium War. In 1856, Britain deemed the terms of the treaty to have been broken, and the Second Opium War commenced. In January 1858, the 59th Foot, along with members of the Royal Marine Light Infantry and the Royal Navy, occupied the city of Canton. In 1858, the 59th Foot moved to South Africa, subsequently returning to the United Kingdom in 1861. From 1867–1878, the regiment again served in India and Ceylon. From India, the 59th crossed into Afghanistan in November 1878 as part of an invasion force, seeking to stem Russian influence in the region. In April 1880, they fought in the Battle of Ahmed Khel. Later in 1880, the 59th Foot returned to England. Amalgamation. As part of the Cardwell reforms of the 1870s, where single battalion regiments were linked together to share a single depot and recruiting district in the United Kingdom, the 59th was linked with the 30th Cambridgeshire Regiment of Foot and assigned to District No. 51 at Burnley Barracks in Lancashire. On 1 July 1881, the Childers reforms came into effect and the regiment amalgamated with the 30th Cambridgeshire Regiment of Foot to form the East Lancashire Regiment, with the 59th Foot becoming the second. Following a series of amalgamations, the lineage of the 59th battle honours. The 59th Foot was awarded the following battle honours to be borne on the regimental colours. The year in brackets is the year of the award of the honour, not of the action it commemorates. Victoria Cross. A Victoria Cross was awarded on 24 October 1879 to Captain Euston Henry Sartorius during the Second Anglo-Afghan War. Colonels of the regiment. Colonels of the regiment were 61st Regiment of Foot, 1755–1760. Lt. General Sir Charles Montagu, KB. 59th Regiment of Foot, 1756, 1760–1776. Lt. General John Owen, 1776–1797. General Sir David Lindsay, 4th Baronet. 59th 2nd Nottinghamshire Regiment of Foot, 1782, 1797–1801. Lt. General Andrew Gordon, 1801–1827. General Alexander Ross, 1827–1840. General Sir Frederick Phillips Robinson, GCB, 1840–1844. Lt. General Sir Robert Lawrence Dundas, KCB, 1844–1852. Lt. General Sir John Harvey, KCB KCH, 1852–1857. Lt. General George Augustus Henderson, KHKC, 1857–1862. Lt. General Jeremiah Taylor, 1862–1863. Maj. General Plomer Young, 1863–1865. John Clark, KH, 1865–1881. General Henry Eyre died 1889.